Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of the Armchair League. I'm your host, Novasight.
And I'm Aspari-One.
Tonight's episode is recorded on October 31st, and so it's an extra spooky episode.
Woogie woogie.
Yeah, we're talking about scary things like the mechanics this week are map awareness.
Oh god, that is scary.
Yeah, because lots of people lack that shit. Um, then for behavior, it's smart pings. That's fucking terrifying. Something that scares the community, the LCS roster changes.
Oh shit.
The game itself, the Season 5 most important updates that have come out so far.
hmm
New things scare people too. And the meta, which I guess isn't that scary, is champion synergy.
Oh, it can be scary if utilized right.
True. And I might talk a little about I Am San Jose, which is going to be coming up, I think, next month? Or, yeah, I think it's next month. There's some little interesting little tournament between LCS seasons.
Decent.
So, our first topic is map awareness. So, map awareness is basically everybody has a mini map in the game, and you're supposed to utilize it for the most part. You can see important information on it, like the towers, champions, um, and you can see whatever is allowed by the game, i.e., getting awards or whatnot. So, basically, it's knowledge, and knowledge is power. Now, the problem regarding this, though, is a lot of people don't seem to have map awareness. They seem to have absolutely no clue what's going on when they're playing. So, I don't know. I think it's a pretty basic idea, to be honest. But there's a lot of people who complain about things like, oh, you didn't ping this, or you didn't call Mia, or something. Where the hell did he come from? And it's simply because you weren't looking at your map, so you didn't see this coming.
When it comes to map awareness too, as we talked about in one of the previous episodes, boarding. Boarding also helps with that concept of map awareness because you're able to see what's potentially coming. So as we said before, wards help, and map awareness extends your vision of range. So you'll
Yeah,
be able to notice what happens. But more or less, you got to pay attention to what's on the map, and more importantly, what isn't.
yeah. So that said, honestly, the information you normally get is brought to you by your own buildings and champions. That's like at the most basic level of the game. That's a that's pretty much a constant. So as long as you have vision coming from allied champions, you have some idea of what's potentially going on. Of course, it's not the best thing ever, because as soon as you start adding wards, that just makes it so much better for you. But a lot of people seem to have a problem with this, where they'll be farming in lane, or they'll be going for that kill, and they won't know what's about to happen to them, and then they step too far out of line, and suddenly bot lane and top lane and the jungler all swoop down on you when you're playing mid. And then what's the first reaction to that? It's to go, well, what the hell? Where did these people come from? And that's not the right way of thinking about it. If you had looked at your map, you would have seen that top lane and bottom lane were missing. And if you had warded, you probably would have seen the jungler coming. So it's 100% your fault if you get your ass killed.
And a lot of people don't like accepting that mentality, specifically, especially taking the blame for that when they clearly understand that something's happening, especially something that's in plain sight. Like you see the mid laner, enemy mid laner, coming down through your jungle, for example, and they're swooping in behind. You have a pink ward sitting in that bush, so you have plain sight of that mid laner just moving in on in, yet you don't notice it because you weren't paying attention to your mini map. So then that mid laner comes in and pops you like a balloon, and then you're dropped. Then a lot of people kind of sit there and go, oh, what? Where's the Mia? Where's the Mia? But you had vision of them the entire time, yet you weren't paying attention. So that's where map awareness comes into aspect. And a lot of pro players, you notice, especially with their eye movements, they've done a study on this too. What they do is they monitor the map very much so. And some of the old StarCraft players too, going into this game, they have their key bindings that flip them back and forth between the teammates. That allows them to see what's going on in the different lanes. And they even take like a small just glance, 1 second of looking in that lane or looking at the map, for example, just to see what's going on. And if generally the entire team is not there for about 2 minutes or so, not on the map, then you know something might be up, so you want to keep your guard up. So a lot of the time you have to pay attention to what's going on the map, because there's a lot of stuff going on in lane, sure, but there's also a lot more going on in the other lanes and potentially bringing those other lanes to your lane.
Yeah, so regarding those key binds to look at teammates, it's the function keys on your keyboard. F1 I think looks at yourself, because you take priority since it's your old champion. Then F2 looks at the next guy on the list, and F3 looks at the guy after that, F4 guy after that, F5 guy after that. So if you want to look at other people, F2 to F5 are very important, and it's easy to hit those fast and just take a quick look around and then go back to what you're doing. It works a lot better when you're jungling because you have more time to look around. But yeah, it's a useful function. And the way I see map awareness is you have a map for a reason. You should be able to use it. And it's as simple as if you're someone who drives a vehicle, for example, it's like looking in a rearview mirror. You always want to be constantly looking, well, in most of your mirrors, so you gotta think that way with your map too on League. So look at what's in front of you, then look at your map, look at whatever other important information on the screen. Don't just look at what's going on right in front of you, because that's not always the entire story.
There's a name for that too, it's called tunnel vision.
Yeah, tunnel vision. So I think more so than anything, people who are really focused on, like, really kill-hungry players are the ones that tunnel vision the most. And I see this in a lot of people who like to play hyper carry champs and people who have decent kill scores, but they also have a lot of deaths because they weren't paying attention to their map. And the other thing they're notorious for is complaining about it afterwards. Like, oh my god, why didn't you call Mia? More than likely, at least in my case, I pinged. I pinged you a couple times. And you just were so tunneled on them that you didn't notice that.
It happens sometimes too, like it's understandable, especially when you're focused in certain aspects within lane. Like I'm an AD carry myself, so I get it. I understand what happens when you're in lane and you're fighting against the same opponent consistently. You tend to want to keep an eye on them, but it's the habit that you got to get into, which would be to consistently look at your map and understand what happens. No, we're no LCS players. That's obvious. We're not like the best of the best when it comes to playing ourselves, so we make mistakes as well, and we're human just like you guys. But we understand these aspects and try to apply them in our continual matches. And as an ADC, you understand that sometimes you get into fights or you're being pressured a lot in lane and you're trying to focus very much on the enemy ADC because they could be harassing you lots or firing a lot of things at you. And you gotta keep watch on them and make sure you can keep dodging the stuff or you'll start getting shoved out of lane. But if that pressure is continually pushed onto you and prevents you from looking at your map, which is just a slight glance down to the right, or unless you have it set in a different position per the GUI, then I don't know where else. But just a simple glance to see what's going on, take in what data is there, assess what's happening and then just make a decision on what you should be doing. And a good telltale sign to be wary is definitely when the mid laner's gone, because as we all know, mid laners like to roam, especially ones with very, very hyper carry sort of stuff, like or really bursty champions too, like LeBlanc or Akali or anyone that's capable of getting a nice shot off of you. But in most senses, you definitely got to keep your eye on that map, because it could be, well, frankly speaking, it could be a matter of life or death when it comes to that match and that matchup.
Yeah, honestly, if it were to help people, I wouldn't mind Riot implementing something where you can like edit your HUD a bit, like move stuff around to make it more comfortable for you to see everything.
Yeah, that would be good.
Just kind of like how some MMOs do it. But yeah, because I'm pretty sure you can. There's a function to move the minimap to the left, like just to basically flip the where everything is, so the minimap's on the left instead of the right. But I mean, it would be nice to have it maybe on the top or move slightly over, closer to just what's closer in front of you. Whatever seems to work. But I don't know, that's one idea I have to fix that kind of problem. But honestly, it's up to people themselves to try and realize that what's in front of them isn't always the full picture. And they can't always blame others for not calling someone missing or, because there's always a case where the other person might be tunnel visioning and you're tunnel visioning, and it has to be someone's job to not tunnel vision. Why can't it be everybody's? Why can't everybody pay attention and look out for each other? That's an ideal situation.
And a lot of the time you have to focus on what's going on, especially within team fights too, or skirmishes within the jungle, stuff like that. Like I see a lot of the time you have vision on enemy team members literally walking up behind the enemy team to try and pick off a back line, and everybody's tunnel visioned into what's going on specifically in front of them. And as I said before, we get it. We're human as well. We're not LCS players. We're not gods at the game. We screw up ourselves. But once you become aware of the behavior and the habits, it's easier to start changing them and then keeping a mind on what's happening. And then you can properly assess what you're supposed to do in that situation.
Yeah. So, at the end of it all, honestly, just remember that there's a map there. Use it to its full potential. Because if you're the one who's map aware, there's a chance that you'll be able to help others succeed in the game. Anything to add to that?
Nothing else that I can think of.
All
As
right.
far as it goes, we covered the entire aspect of it. Just keep your eyes on the map, even if you have to glance every now and then, which is actually a good habit to simply glance at the map.
Yeah.
But yeah, just keeping an eye on it, a general eye on the map.
Yeah. We'll post a link to that video with where people's eyes are on that during that test. And it's kind of interesting because their eyes will move from what's in front of them to the map to the information, some information on the side, like what their enemy's capable of, and they'll look to the front again, map, their eyes will always be constantly moving and looking at everything that's going on. And that's the sign of like someone who's really knowing, like they understand how map awareness works. But that's enough of that one. So for our behavior section, we have smart pings. So last season, Riot implemented a function where you could basically have these pings on the map that you could give different types of info, like I'm on my way, or be careful, or something else like that.
Usually, the list of pings are, there's the general ping that everybody knows of, which would be what's hotkeyed to G.
Yeah.
You just basically hit G and then click. That's the basic general ping. There's something here indicating on the map. There's another one hotkeyed to V, which also works off of G. If you if you use it that way. But that one's generally considered caution, or as it says, fall back. There's another one that says need assistance, so it should be a blue flag that pops up. And then there would be another one that says on my way, which pops up a green indicator saying somebody's going here. It says who exactly is going there, and it shows the path that they're moving towards getting there. And they can all be applied specifically to, well, except for the on my way thing. I think that one isn't applied specifically in the sense that I'm about to say. But yeah, for example, fall back, you were to ping a specific player or on your team or the enemy team, it'll have a different reference to that. So like saying fall back, and then you click an enemy team member, it'll say get away from that player or tell you to move back. Or if you fall back in a specific player, it'll say that player's name and tell them to fall back. So you can indicate it that way, as well as the assistance one. You could say assistance over the tower and such. There's also the general basic ping that is needing assistance that applies to towers specifically. So if you hover over a tower and you click, you just hit G and then you click the tower, your own tower, this one I'm referring to. If you click your own tower, it'll say needing assistance on tower, and it'll make a different kind of sound of ping, and it'll show a little shield above the tower. Or if you're wanting people to go and attack the enemy tower, it will show a target over that, and it'll say attack enemy tower. So they've got little uses for different situations that you have set up. And you can target buffs. You can target most larger minions, stuff like wolves and jungle or wraiths or minions specifically. Those ones can't be pinged, but something like Baron or Dragon or blue buff or red buff, those ones are capable of being pinged. And they all have their usages, and they're quite useful in relaying what information you want to tell the team. And a lot of the time I prefer to actually use that rather than typing in exactly what I'm going to do, because for the most part, team members get the gist of what I'm saying, especially if you do it in pings. That's a behavior that I've personally been practicing a little bit, or at least trying to, is not talking at all, but actually just conveying what I'm doing in pings, or what I'm about to do, or what I'm setting up to do, or where I'm going, and just purely pings.
Alright, so that's basically the idea of how pings are supposed to work. However, the behavior topic is more or less about another thing about pings, and that's how they're not supposed to work. And this is something Sven especially loves, is when people spam pings on top of your head constantly.
As the famous quote goes from Mordekaiser, you only need to click once, fool.
Yeah. So, people seem to have this problem where, I don't know if it's an addiction because they see a shiny thing popping around, or they like the noise, but they'll ping somebody over and over and over, just wildly, without thought. And I don't know, it's maybe because they're trying to convey their message, but they're doing it too much. So the thing about that is, for most people, and this is my belief about pings, is I will ping, like, say if someone leaves a lane, for example, I will ping my lane twice, and I will ping another lane the direction they might be heading in twice. And then that's it. And for other things, like for people to fall back or whatever, I'll only ping them once, because that's really all people seem to need. But for some reason, people seem to be obsessed with spamming it over and over.
Oh. Yeah, thinking about that now, I forgot actually one of the pings, and it was the question mark ping that indicates when people are missing. That one's actually quite useful, but on that aspect, yeah, as Corey was saying, pinging the question mark ping and then indicating where they're going, like, for example, question mark ping for your lane if they're missing, then a caution ping for the designated area that they're moving to, or the lane itself. But, yeah, sorry.
So, anyways, it's really super annoying to be pinged a million times, especially like fall back or whatever, because I understand it after the first time. It's a pretty simple concept. But, I don't know. Sven especially hates it.
Oh,
And
yes.
what does he say when somebody pings you over and over, just randomly during, like, if you're being attacked or whatever?
It does not give me a buff. I cannot move faster. It does not give me invincibility. So that being said, when you ping somebody like that, especially when you're... This is what I've said to somebody before, too. If I am just ass deep in the enemy, there's 3 of them on me that I ended up getting caught just because of my own stupidity. You don't need to add insult to injury by pinging me 300 times to fall back, because that won't make me move any faster, and that won't debuff their stuns or whatever on me. That'll only just distract me and, for the most part, mess with my mojo. Especially in lane with those ping-heavy supports. Those ones are rather troubling, because those ones always tend to ping the crap out of you when they figure, oh, something's happening, or fall back or whatever when you know nothing's going to happen. Just better judgment on that, but they're quick to fret.
So,
But yeah, you don't gain buffs from multiple pings on the person. If anything, you're probably just distracting them, which causes them to get disoriented and then therefore killed.
yeah, so it's super goddamn annoying, basically. And the thing about that is, like, this is a thing that happens for Diamond players and Challenger and Master, etc. Like, the higher tier players. They don't ping so many times because most people in high level play have, like, their own individual skill, like playmaking skill. Like, I'll give you an example. Let's say you had Bjergsen on your team, and you're well aware that, well, maybe if you didn't know him, you would not be aware of this, but he's a very playmaker type person, but he has to have some kind of focus on what he's doing in order to execute that play, whether it's like juking somebody out to escape if he got caught, or scoring a kill on someone in a 2v1 situation. But most people wouldn't ping him. They wouldn't ping him 500 million times during this because everyone realizes how goddamn annoying that is. So that can apply to anyone, whether you know how they play or not. Wouldn't it be better to just, I don't know, if they get caught, wouldn't it be better to just let the thing play out, where they might have a chance to make a play, make a big juke and escape, rather than pinging them and throwing them off, and then getting them killed even faster? You know what I mean, right, Sven?
Yeah, and when I kind of look at it too, one can argue, oh well, you actually look at the LCS plays or whatever, and you see a bunch of pings all over the map, like they're all over the place. But it's like there's a difference between pinging intelligently and pinging excessively. If you're pinging one spot 30 times over that it's got like a freaking neon green blip on the bloody map, then you're doing it wrong. If you pay attention to what the LCS players are doing, for example, they're pinging different spots, question marking different spots, saying be careful to different spots, all within one location to basically say, okay, there might be somebody here, there might be somebody there, be careful of this spot, we're prone to getting jumped on because they could all be in that bush, let's move into this bush here, like stuff like that. They do it, which would seem excessively to somebody who isn't really paying attention, but when you actually take a look at it closer, they're not all in the same spot, and they're not always the same ping specifically. There's a lot of pings going down on the map, but they're all indicating what each individual player is basically thinking and then surveying that to everybody else. So then they basically make the plays that they're thinking of making towards that. And if you continue to just flood the map with pings that just really make no strategic sense, let alone really any value whatsoever, then it's not really helping. You're just basically showing your frustration. You're showing your saltiness too. I've seen that happen a couple times. They just get angry, so they start pinging all over the map just for no apparent reason. And you're confusing everybody, or you are messing up people's focus. And if you're in a situation where you got caught and you have a potential of being juked, or you have a potential of juking rather, if somebody, instead of pinging you saying be careful 300 million times, they figure, oh, okay, well, he's in this spot. Maybe I can get him to move to this area so we can meet him and actually turn this into a kill. So you turn that ping, instead of clicking on him, into a I'm moving into here, into this bush, for example. And then the player might see that and go, okay, there might be strategic value to that, so I may actually move into this and see how it goes. So if they end up moving there, that player could die, but you may also be able to get a kill off of it rather than just that player going down and that be the end of it. So when you take a look at how pings are used, they're called smart pings for a reason. They're meant to convey more than just a simple noise and a location.
It's like Navi from Legend of Zelda. Hey, listen! Hey, listen! Listen, hey, listen! Hey,
Yeah.
listen! It doesn't work like that. They're smart pings. They're supposed to be smart. They're actually conveying real information. It's not just, hey, listen. That's not how the pings work anymore. They used to work like that back in Season 2,
Oh, yeah. That
but
was a pain.
they don't work like that anymore. You can actually give off real information with them.
That's where the smart pings are nicely utilized, and in Silver, you don't really see that happen. Same with Gold, and even like some games that I've been pulled into, like with Platinum players too, I never really see people use smart pings all that much. And it makes sense to use them because you're conveying exactly what you're doing, so you could potentially set up something nice. But the more you use smart pings, the more your team kind of notices what's going on, and then you in turn may even earn their respect by making plays, and they would be more likely to follow you because you seem to know what you're doing. The whole time you could have potentially known what you're doing, but they're just looking for basically the person who is capable of making the most kills off of everybody and attempting to assert dominance that way just by brute strength. But if you show strategic value, then they're more likely to follow you. And that's basically what everybody always wants, is for everybody to just blindly follow them. And that's very nice if you can assert dominance in that sense. And I get how it is. A lot of people get really irritable, and they always want to be the team leader and all that crap. But it's like, yeah, the more you use smart pings, the more you're aware of what's going on. And it makes things, or not aware of what's going on, it makes your team more aware of what you're intending to do, which makes things a little more transparent, instead of everything just being an assuming and guessing game. You can't be implying implications while assuming assumptions the whole time.
Nope.
But in general, smart pings, they definitely help with teamwork. Because it's as we said, team games. Maybe solo queue, but it's still teamwork. That's definitely what you need in order to succeed.
Yeah, so honestly, the overall point of this is smart pings are good, just don't be stupid with them. They're not called stupid pings. Use them
They're called
intelligently.
spam pings.
Yeah, they're not called spam pings, they're not called stupid pings, they're not called, hey, listen, hey, listen, pings. They're called smart pings, so use them smart. Anything to add to that?
Easy on the damn button, please. That's all I gotta say. Because it just, as an ADC, I'm pretty sure everybody knows what I'm talking about with this. When you're trying to focus on a team fight or something's happening, and all of a sudden you see just a bunch of blips happening around you, it's just like, oh no, what's going on? What's going on? You're kind of sitting there panicking, going, oh, what are they warning me about? What's going on? So you suddenly start looking all over the place to try and figure out what's happening, which it could potentially be nothing whatsoever. They're just paranoid, but you don't. Like, it's very disorienting, and it keeps your focus off of what you're supposed to be doing, which is early game would be CSing or just destroying the enemy lane if you could pull that off. So you kind of look at it and you go, well, or you look at it and you kind of figure, well, if I'm trying to convey a point, I may as well just give them the basic rundown rather than just trying to do Morse code and pinging for some weird, dumb reason. Just trust me, you won't be able to pull that off. There's a limit to how many pings you can throw down within a succession.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, I don't know. The game could be so much easier for people if they knew how to properly utilize the resources they're given. But that's up to everyone to learn. But I think that's enough of that topic.
It's giving me an aneurysm just thinking about it.
Yeah. So, Next topic is the community topic, and it's LCS roster changes. So, World Championships ended not too long ago, so 'tis the season for roster swaps before LCS Spring Split and OG and Winter and all that good stuff happens.
Hmm.
So, that being said, there seems to be a lot of hype. There's a lot of big changes coming along for lots of teams. And there's also a lot of misinformation going around. And some things are yet to be even confirmed. So I can actually talk about one of the newest confirmed changes, and that's CLG's new coach, who was Skara from Team Dignitas. He used to play for that team, and he used to coach for that team for a while. But he decided that his time with Dignitas was up, and he decided that coaching for CLG was the right choice for him. So that's a big change coming along. And I'll go over a list of various roster swaps, but that's just one that comes to mind right this second. And another one that comes to mind is Curse's new AD carry. So their old AD carry Cop he basically decided he would go work with Curse Academy instead. And so they needed to fill the spot. So what's a better idea than to pick up an old World Championship player? And so they decided to pick Piglet from SK Telecom T1, the winners of Season 3 Worlds.
He's in the house.
So yeah, Curse picked up Piglet from SKT T1. And obviously they're going to have to work on their synergy and even their language barrier because he is a Korean player. So that's another big change. And while I look up all the other roster changes, well, what's your opinion on team roster changes just in general?
Well, it's in every case, it's always good for new people. As far as it goes, you're more of the resident LCS expert than I am, so I don't really know that much and don't really have that much of an input. But there's a chance for new changes, and that's generally good sometimes. You need to switch things up. Not like a full-fledged roster change where it's like I'm scrapping the entire team because I feel like it, cough cough LMQ. But in some cases, like some people need to just branch out and do other things, or even take a break for a season. Like in some aspects, it gets pretty rough sometimes, considering what these LCS players go through. They need vacation times and such, like just to be able to start thinking, being able to breathe, because it gets pretty crazy for them too. And they're in a sense just like us. They're humans too. So it's definitely a good thing for some of them to be taking their time off, or others kind of just switching it up, trying new things, being a part of different teams.
Yep.
Especially ones in their careers that are kind of shaky at the moment too. If they end up going to different teams and they just so happen to be with a team that ends up being something that they're more comfortable with, then it's for the better.
Yeah, so that being said, a lot of players over the years have been getting flack because they were underperforming with this team or that team. But then these same players would turn around and join another team where they just fit better and they would just rock the worlds of other players suddenly, and they'd become basically top level of their respective roles. So that's another thing for people to consider. Some roster changes just work. And so now that I have the list in front of me, there's a lot of different things going on. So we'll start with the NALCS because I am NA. So TSM, Team Solo Mid, the jungler they had last season, amazing, ended up leaving. And they had lots of rumored jungles coming in to fill in for Amazing, but the ones who seem to be the most confirmed is Santorin, and he used to play on what team was it? Oh yeah, he played on Coast for a little bit when it was a challenger team, and he played on Cloud9 Eclipse, which was the Cloud9 amateur team. So, oh, and that was the European, like Cloud9 had a NA amateur team and a European amateur team, and Cloud9 Eclipse was the European amateur team. So, he was a EU player. And it's not 100% confirmed, but it's almost 100%. Now, CLG is pretty much the same story. Their jungler, Dexter, who was a EU player and played for CLG last season, ended up leaving the team. And they don't have anything for sure. So, rumored would be CLG Zion Spartan, which would leads to another point that comes later. But a confirmed change for CLG, like I said earlier, was Skara. He was coming in as a coach from Dignitas. And there's Cloud9. They don't have any roster changes planned. They think the players in Cloud9 believe that their team just works out better than most. And that it's not necessary to change anybody on the roster. And whether or not they're right will show next season, depending on how they do. But they're confident that the roster they have now is just the best they can do. Okay, now there's Dignitas. There's a whole bunch of different things happening here. So, as I was saying about Zion Spartan maybe going to CLG, he was on Dignitas last season, and for the summer split, and he left. And so whatever happens to him is, well, we don't know yet. And there's no idea of what top laner Dignitas might be getting to replace him. And their AD carry, I'm a cutie pie who's pretty well known. He's finally, I guess he's temporarily retired, which everyone's pretty sad about, but he said himself that he's just not in it right now. And so you can't really force someone to keep playing if they don't want to. But there's rumors that, and this will lead to another one, there's rumors that Vasily from LMQ might be going to Dignitas as their AD carry. The team manager for Dignitas, Odie, said that Dignitas added one Korean player and one Chinese player. Now we don't know who the Korean player is, but the Chinese player will probably be Vasily. And anyways, next on the list is Curse. So everyone stays but Cop, and as I said, he was replaced by Piglet from Season 3 World Championships, SK Telecom T1. And they're pretty hyped right now because Cop and X Special work pretty decently, but everyone believes that Piglet and X Special will be really amazing once they get their synergy going. Now, the big one, and this is the one Sven seems to be kind of concerned about, is the LMQ roster changes.
Oh god.
So, the LMQ roster changes are their top laner Ackerman is gone, their jungler No Name is retired, and Vasily is gone. So all they have is Zhao Weizhao, their mid laner, and their support player Moore. And they don't have any idea who's replacing these players. Apparently LMQ is going to be a whole new team when they come back. And what was your concern about this?
Well, last I heard about it, pretty much the entire roster was gone. It was a full skill wipe. So I was kind of looking at it like, Well, this is more so a personal bias of like feeling for them because they basically fought quite a bit to try and get into the NALCS circuit and just be a part of the circuit itself to be a team and make it here. And they end up losing one split, or not one split, one season. They didn't manage to make it to Worlds just because they're just, Christ, I don't blame them. They had a lot of stress on them.
Oh, they made it
to
to
try.
Worlds.
Yeah, they made it to Worlds, but they didn't really get anywhere within Worlds.
Yeah, they didn't make it past the group stages. I know what you mean.
So it's like, yeah, I kind of look at that and then I heard about it being like a total wipe. So it's just like, oh, these poor guys, they tried to make it and they did their best, and all of a sudden they just get flat out slapped. It just feels like BM on the management portion.
Yeah, well, when I first told Sven about it, I was given the impression by lots of talks that they were just getting outright changed, like their entire roster. And that was pretty much the idea, but then a couple players are going to stay. So, but it's still a pretty big change because 3 players are gone in comparison to other teams where they're maybe only losing 1 or 2. And nobody has any idea what LMQ is getting in replacement. Now, the next one is, this one actually has to do with a new team coming into the LCS, that because they won the Challenger Series this summer, and this is Team 8. So Team 8 has a bunch of players who haven't really made much of a name for themselves besides being good amateur players and being decently known in solo queue. However, one of the players is making a return to the LCS, but Team 8's roster is their top player is California Trials. I guess that's how you say his name. Their jungler's Porpoise Pops. Their mid laner's Slooshy. Their AD carry is from Maple Street, and he used to actually be from Team Velocity, who was in the LCS. He's also the brother of TSM's old jungler, the Odd One. And Team 8 support player is Dodo8. And I remember that name from a few things. Another roster change is from EG, and it's everyone's beloved support player, Crepo. He decided to leave EG, and he wasn't sure what he's going to do yet. Now there's lots of like crazy rumors that he might be going back to EU to join Alliance, which was like partially the old CLG EU roster, which he was a part of. But that's not a confirmed thing either. Anyways, a list of NA free agents are I'm a Cutie Pie, who's not going to play competitively for quite a while. Silent Spartan, Robert X. Lee, who left Complexity, even though they're an amateur team again, or they're in a they're a challenger team. Prawley, also from Team Complexity. Chaos is a free agent, and as always, I think he always will be a free agent. ManCloud, who used to be part of Team Vulcan. Alright, so, for you LCS, it doesn't matter. There, that's my entire take on it. A bunch of people got replaced. We'll put the list up on the video. Problem solved.
Well, more so on the NA side of things.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's like 300 million other podcasters out there that are also doing EU LCS or reporting on that are actually from EU.
Hey,
so
shh, we're the only podcasters that exist.
Okay.
Any opinions on the LCS roster changes that are happening?
Nope.
No opinions. Okay.
Yeah, the rosters not really part of my expertise. I'm more so on gameplay and strategy than really that. That's more your field.
Alright. So, then let's talk about our next topic, which has to do with the game itself. It is the Season 5 info. So, Season 5. There's going to be a lot of changes coming along again. Now, last season, or I guess the current season, season 4, is the season of support. So there's a lot of changes having to do with supports and how support players functioned and got gold and etc. But season 5 looks to be like the season of the jungler because there's a lot of changes coming for season 5 having to do with junglers. Now you read a bit about this, right?
Yeah. Different changes that are actually coming to the jungle.
So far, there's the changes that are being looked at right now. There's really small. Some of the changes that have been listed are things like the fountains, going back to the fountain heals more consistently, but like slower but more consistent, I guess. Oh, I get it. So it heals less, but it does it faster, so it's not really a big thing. Apparently stat growth is being changed, so the stats you get at level 1 are a lot lower now, so you'll be a lot weaker at the start of the game, but then apparently max level 18, the stats will be 128% higher than they were. So I guess the games have become more concentrated on after the first 15 minutes than it was.
Well, the sounds of that, it's going to be focusing more on mid-game and ending it more towards mid-game. Unless it reaches late game, then everybody's just really freaking powerful.
Yeah. Death timers are apparently increasing. Oh, okay, so apparently they're going 2% higher every 30 seconds after 35 minutes.
Oh, wow.
And they used to be 2% every 60 seconds after 25 minutes. So later in the game, the death timers will be even higher. So
That's rough.
That seems like a thing to focus on mid-game being more important.
That to me seems, if you hit late game, that's like the first episode's wrap up, don't die, tenfold.
Yeah. So, what else? Oh, apparently champions in their own base receive 10% movement speed and 10 plus 10 armor and MR.
Within their own base?
Yeah.
Huh.
So I guess it allows yourself to defend a bit better.
Not overwhelming siege. It's somewhat anti-siegey. That's not bad.
Inhibitors have a 300-second respawn time from 240, which is 5 minutes. So went from 5 minutes to 6, I guess. Yeah.
What was it before? I don't remember.
5 minutes. I just said they went from 5 minutes to 6.
Oh, okay, I see.
So it's a minute longer, the respawn time for inhibs. They're changing how gold is earned again, kill-wise and assist-wise. Gold from kills isn't reduced before 4 minutes anymore, so you get the full amount of gold from getting kills before 4 minutes again, like it used to be. During Season 3 was actually, anything before 4 minutes was reduced, so you couldn't snowball early.
You know, I kind of like that, it being put back to the way it was, because Season 3 it seemed kind of just, oh, you got a very early kill because somebody was out of position or did something stupid. Whoopee, you got some boots. Enjoy. Like, it didn't seem that much of a detriment.
Boots? Man, you'd be lucky to get potions.
Or that, too. Like, yeah, it's just basically a little bit of a peon amount of money that they'd give you, which kind of made me sad face most of the time. Some made invasions not really worth it anymore, to be honest.
Yeah. Other thing is gold from assists now scales 25 to 50% over the first 210 seconds of the game. I don't know what that means exactly. I guess maybe it means getting assists will grant you higher gold, or maybe it means it will grant you... Yeah, oh, okay. So, you get like 300 gold per kill, or... Okay, let's give it an easier number. Let's say you get 500 gold per kill, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you get an assist earlier on, you would be getting 25% of that, which is like... What the hell's... Wow, I'm so bad at math right now. What's 25% of 500?
Okay, hold on a sec.
Oh, it's like 125.
Yeah, 125.
Yeah. So, yeah, you get 125 gold. Whereas after 210 seconds, which is like 3 minutes and 30 seconds in game time, it's 50%. So if you got 500 gold that time, and you got an assist on that, you would get 250 gold. So I guess the scaling is better.
Seems quite a lot nicer, yes.
But I guess super early assist wouldn't be as good.
Well, they wouldn't be so blown out of proportion where it's just like, ugh. But yeah, I rather like how that is, to be honest. It's not ridiculous.
There's a bunch of changes coming to towers next season. So, towers will no longer gain armor or magic resist over time, but they'll still gain attack damage, and they have 100 flat armor and magic resist throughout the entire game. Which, I mean, I guess that's okay early. I think it's higher early, but it's lower later. So it'll be a lot easier to take down later on.
Hmm.
And, let's see. Oh, so there's new HP values for towers too. So outer, inner, nexus turrets are 2,000. Inhibitor turrets are 2,500 HP. That's kind of weird, because like 2,000, 2,000, 2,500, then 2,000 again. You think it would be higher at the nexus, but whatever.
They must be going somewhere with that.
And let's see. Tower regen is now 5 HP per 5 instead of 15. So tower regen's lower. But I don't really remember towers regenerating in the first place.
Remember they used to, before they had like an ambient regen of like 2 health per second or something like that, or like 1 health per second or some crap like that. Like all of them did, not just the main towers. And then
Heimerdinger?
Heimerdinger, yeah, he boosted the regen of it as well, but I think they took the regen out for the first 3 tiers and just left the Nexus towers with the regen.
Oh yeah, I think that's how it was. And then apparently the inner towers have shielding, so the first set of towers don't, but then the inner towers have regenerating shields. And apparently while the shield holds, champions near the turrets also get a little shield. So I guess that's kind of a anti-dive mechanic.
Yeah. God, early game dives were just atrocious this season. Some of the things that I could manage to pull off before like 9 minutes, for example.
That one
full on.
That's not going to affect early game dives though. It only works on the inner turrets, not the outers.
Oh wait, no, I misheard you. Never mind.
Yeah. I was wondering.
Why is it just the inner? That's kind of what?
I don't know.
Like I can understand it. It holds some kind of defense against like outright just blasting with siege, but that doesn't really make much sense to me because they still have inhibs to chunk through too that regen themselves. So it's like, well, I don't know. I didn't really see that much of a problem with them being this way in the first place.
Anyways, the next point is inhibitor towers apparently have a beam now. So they do like 4 attacks per second on a single target with damage that it increases really fast over 6.5 seconds and an increasing armor pen over 6.5 seconds. But the ramp up is reset between target changing, so if you know how to toggle the turret aggro, then it won't really affect you that badly. But apparently lasers also slow targets by 10%. I feel like so far these changes are kind of all over the place, because it's like, it lets you siege, but siege then like anti-siege more, and then it lets you anti-siege less, but then siege more. Like it feels like they're moving the values around in such a way that I don't honestly get it. Lots of this stuff makes like 0 sense.
I do recall that they said a lot of it, well, specifically the open beta, what they said is a lot of things are going to be like thrown all over the place and not a whole lot of it's going to make sense. I remember reading somewhere within their article that we're talking about for the open beta that in general don't pay too much attention to what's being changed because they're just on a whim being thrown out. They have really no mentality behind them. So I imagine in time they'll be properly tweaked or even those changes removed, but it seems like they're just trying to set something and then try and work from it.
Well, a lot of stuff seems very experimental too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, moving on. to minions, they no longer gain armor or magic resist as time goes on, but their health gain is going up over time to make up for the lost resistances. But, I mean, it's still pretty easy to tear through minions either way, so I don't really know where they're going with that.
I don't really understand that one either.
Let's see. Oh, there's changes to blue and red buff. Apparently it now lasts 2 minutes instead of 2.5 minutes, those buffs. Red buff now grants 1% of max health every 5 seconds. Huh? What do they mean by that? Does it mean having red buff will give you more max health every 5 seconds? What? Fuck, I need someone else to make sense of this shit.
Yeah, give me a link to that.
We'll post a link to it on the description too. Maybe other people can make more sense of some of these changes.
Minions. Red and blue buff?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, the buff itself. Okay, I got it. Red now grants percent max health every 5 seconds. Red now grants 1% of max health every 5 seconds?
Yeah, see, it doesn't make any sense when
I'd understand heal, but your health is slowly rising to a juggernaut level 1% every 5 seconds for the duration of like
the
fucking
buff?
3.
That's weird.
Oh my god. Red slow adjusted to 5 to 10% for ranged, 5 to 15% for melee, and 8 to 15 for ranged. Okay, that's more well-rounded, but damn, dude.
So the slow is getting lowered for both ranged and melee.
Red burn now does 5 to 56 damage per second from 10 to 44 damage per second.
Yeah, so the burn does more damage now. And apparently the burn now applies to towers, so it's a sieging tool.
What the heck? Okay, they're mostly focusing on red, because there's only one thing here, now lasts 20 seconds, or 2 minutes.
Yeah, they really didn't say anything about blue buff besides how long it lasts. Everything else is red.
Still waters Dota runes.
Oh, it's a joke, because in Dota there's these runes that appear in the middle of the river, on both, like, between top and middle, and then middle and bottom. They give you like a speed boost, basically, or something. They give you some kind of buffs. So now there's this roaming monster that's going to appear, and when you kill it, it gives you 50 out of combat movement speed, and apparently standing still gives you more vision range, the ability to look over walls. So it's like a scouting tool.
What? The ability to look over walls, that is insanity.
Yeah.
Imagine getting that and then trying to steal blue buff from somebody. That would be so easy.
Yep. Steal dragons and barons.
Oh my god, that'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, so it's a scouting tool. And it's kind of funny because it's talking about standing still. And you know who's really good at standing still?
Teemo. Oh my
so now he really is going to be a fucking walking ward.
God damn.
Teemo is going to turn into a ward. With
this is Riot's upgrade to Teemo. Now he is a fully fledged scout, literally. Oh my god. It gives plus 50 out of combat. Oh my god. Yeah, that's a Teemo buff right there. Indirect Teemo buff.
Okay, so the next change is elixirs. So red and blue elixirs are being removed. Red elixir gave you attack damage and health. Blue elixir gave you AP and cooldowns. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
What was that, or I think it was mana regen.
No, it was cooldowns. Yeah.
Okay.
And
well, since I've used one.
So they're removing those elixirs and they're adding new ones. But with the change, they're also only having you be able to use one elixir at a time. And you can only use elixirs after level 9, so you can't do any of those early game elixir cheese strats anymore. And all elixirs cost 400 gold, and they last 3 minutes each. And the new elixirs are Ruin, which gives you health, percent tower damage, nearby minions gain percent tower damage, and their movement speed is set to 90% of holders.
What?
So I guess that's a siege elixir.
That sounds like Ruin plus red buff plus Banner of Command.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Something like that. The next one is Iron, which increases champion size, their tenacity, which is like CC breaking, and slow resistance. Their holder leaves a trail that increases allied movement speed by 10%. So that's like something you put on an initiating tank.
How the hell does it increase your size? I don't understand that.
Makes it harder for people to hit the other champions because you're too busy taking up the entire fucking map.
Okay, that makes sense, yeah.
It's like having Cho'Gath, except everybody's Cho'Gath now. And then you put that on Cho'Gath, and he's going to be Cho'Gath Plus.
Oh god. No, he's really getting huge.
Yeah, I
Oh my
hope our bodies
God.
can take it.
That's ridiculous.
The next one is Sorcery, which increases AP, M MP per 5. So it kind of reminds me of Blue Elixir, but also adds chew damage while attacking a champion or tower.
What?
So it's like having Corki's passive on your champion, but also works on towers.
Damn.
Wrath gives you AD, 10% physical vamp, so I guess that's life steal. Scoring a kill or assist will extend the duration of the elixir by 30 seconds. That's
What?
insane because you could pretty much, as long as you're getting a kill or assist at any given time, you can have that elixir on forever.
That is so stupid. You could be an assassin, just continuously slamming the. Oh my god.
That's
That fucking thing thrown on Zed.
yeah,
Dude,
that's
on
not.
Zed.
They're not gonna keep that. There's no way. That just the elixir extensions, man. Like I know it doesn't increase as many things as the other ones, but the extension alone is like huge. It's way too much.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's a bit ridiculous.
However, the only way to combat that would be to have it so if you die with the elixir, you lose its buff. But they don't list that as a thing that happens, so I
Oh
don't
my.
know.
Now that I think about it, yeah, what the hell? If you die throwing that friggin' thing on Scion,
Yeah,
physical vamp with that, so you're also gaining, oh god, you're getting life back from auto-attacking things while you're in your death proc. Like, that's rough and tough.
fuck. I just throw it on every AD champion, and it wouldn't matter anymore.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's just like an AD carrier's dream because they get a bunch of like free stats that will pretty much last forever as long as they're killing people or getting assists.
They only buy. Oh, okay. That's weird how they worded that. Elixirs may only be bought by level 9 or above champions.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
Those are
they're
some
meaning-
crazy elixirs.
Yeah, they're meaning elixirs may only be bought at level 9 or above champions.
Yeah,
But what the hell? Like Wrath, like you could easily punch out a level 980 carry within a lane without really giving a crap. Like you can even rush it by running Zillion in your lane, for example. Like crap. Then you hit level 9, you throw that elixir on it, and it's just like, welp. Every couple, like scoring a kill or an assist. Yeah, Zillion would only have to finish them off. You can continue back going and doing minions and CSing while the other person's running away going, ah, with a bomb on them. Then it blows up. Oh, there's 30 more seconds. Like, that's it. Wow.
yeah. I don't know. I can't see them keeping that, but we'll see what happens.
Good God. Imagine getting, like, yeah, imagine throwing that on, then your team gets an ace, and you're an assist in all of that. Or like Soraka, for example, or like one of the supports that end. Well, okay, never mind. That wouldn't really be all that great on a support, I don't think.
If you scored an ace worth of assists or kills, then you would be getting another 2.5 minutes worth of
Yeah.
that buff.
Just for like auto attacking one champion right at the right time before they go down. There's boom, assist. You get the full duration of the 30 seconds. It'd be more interesting if they made it like 15 seconds on an assist and 30 on a kill, but still, it's like, ugh, that's ridiculous. It'd take a long time for that thing to dissipate.
Yep. So the next thing is Baron. So the buff for Baron Nashor no longer gives you health and health regen, but the AD and AP buffs remain intact. But now it also gives you a empowered recall, which makes your recall faster. And apparently when you're done recalling, you get a big movement speed buff and a big heal as soon as you get back to
my-
base. So it's more of a good idea than it used to be to recall as soon as you get a Baron buff.
Immediately, basically immediately healed. Then you can just bust out of there with like Home Guard, for example, still on your champion. You get a speed buff 8 seconds long, and just immediately, you're out of there.
Oh,
You're Ramos without the wow, without the spin.
oh, and here comes the siege part. So now it's granting a minion buffing aura.
Oh God.
So all minions gain 90% of holders' movement speed.
What?
Melee minions get 80% damage reduction from most types of damage. I assume everything but true damage. Range minions will get increased damage and an increase in range. The siege minions, apparently, they get a huge range increase, so they actually outrange towers. It halves their attack speed though, but their attack's AoE, and it does full damage to towers so none of the reduction applies.
Uh, Look at the Superman.
And the Supermans can 75% movement speed when near enemy champions and 25% attack speed. So basically, the Supermans can now chase people down, bash your face in harder.
Oh my God. What the hell, Riot? This is very minion centered now, it seems. The running Ruin with Banner of Command with like freaking
With
oh
Baron
red
buff,
with Baron buff and red buff. Like
yeah,
what?
it's become a heavy siege game in
Oh
that
my
regard.
God. That's ridiculous.
Okay, so next thing is Dragon. So there's a big change for Dragon. Now it grants half as much XP. It doesn't grant global gold anymore, but they get these Dragon Slayer stacks. Now, I guess Dragon does more damage to champions who have more stacks of this Dragon Slayer buff, so it's harder for them to take down Dragon over like super quickly. It also reduces the damage from Dragon Slayers. But anyways, the Dragon Slayer stacks are this. The first one gives you increased regen, 5 per 5, which kind of makes up for the health regen that Baron doesn't give you anymore. The second stack gives you increased armor and MR, so there's that. That's
Plus
10%.
10%, yeah.
That makes you pretty tanky. It doesn't increase your AD, or no, that's just a change that they had when they were doing it. Anyways, the third stack gives you increased movement speed, 5% more. The fourth stack gives you increased armor and magic penetration by
Oh my
10%.
God.
And 5 gives you triple bonuses for everything that you got before, and gives you a worm fire thing, which lasts 3 minutes and causes all damage to burn for 50 true damage per second for 5 seconds. So
What?
that's 50, 100, 250 true damage over the course of 5 seconds on everything.
Oh my God.
And it's true damage, so it's not just unavoidable.
And you also get that increase in armor pen. Triple bonus goes for
It's
this one.
and after 5 it's tripled, so that's 30% when it's tripled.
Oh
That's
my God.
15% movement speed when tripled. That's 30% armor MR when tripled. That's 15% HP per 5 when tripled.
My God.
So that's a huge snowball now. And Riot last season was very anti-snowball. Like they wanted to remove anything that would cause people to snowball out of control too quickly, and now they're pretty much putting it back, and
Seems
with
like
a
they're
vengeance.
making it. Yeah, they seem to be making it more objective focused now, though. It's like objectives, objectives, objectives. It seems like they're trying to get the community to veer away from team deathmatch as far as like moving around and just ignoring Dragon. Now it's oh God, now it's very much useful to kill Dragon and be on top of Dragon as well as Baron, but in the early game especially Dragon.
Yeah. So next there's changes to the summer spell Smite.
Finally!
The cooldown is increased to 60 seconds. However,
Shit.
it gains a lot of different little things now. If you smite a large monster from one of the monster camps, it'll give you bonus XP and a monster-specific bonus. So it will probably make it a little bit easier to level in the jungle if you smite them properly. It will
Hmm.
actually make it worth smiting the big minions more constantly instead of just holding on to smite all the time. So if you use it on the red buff, it gives you a large amount of health
Restores a large amount of
back.
health,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay. It restores a large amount of health. If you use it on blue, it restores a large amount of mana. If you use it on the small golems, or the smaller golems, so those two that hang out near bottom side, if you're blue, yeah, and top
Yeah.
side if you're purple. So anyways, it gives you Gift of Heavy Hands, which I guess first attack and every fifth afterwards stuns monsters and minions.
Wow.
And attacking turrets deals bonus true damage and consumes Gift of Heavy Hands. So it's a micro siege tool. The one for large wraiths is Gift of Toadstool. Attackers are poisoned for magic damage over 3 seconds. Wait, what? Attack? Oh, okay, so I guess that means if someone attacks you, they're poisoned for 3 seconds and deals magic
Oh,
damage to
okay.
them.
It's just so weirded. Weirded so wordedly? Yeah, okay.
It's weird. Yeah, it's just worded strangely.
You know
Um,
what? I'm just gonna hold to that. It's weirded so wordedly right now.
yeah, Killing Wraiths gives you um, Razor Sharp for 60 seconds, which alerts and gives you true sight when spotted by a ward. So if you walk by a ward and you're spotted by it, it will tell you that it's there, and you'll be able to see it, so you can kill it.
Oh my god.
So say goodbye to the ward game, because now it'll just be so easy to run around and destroy them anyways.
You used your sweeper? Well,
And the last one is wolves. If you kill those with smite, the big wolf, you get a ghost wolf that patrols that quadrant of the jungle for 90 seconds, which will alert you to invaders. So people trying to sneak in there won't have such an easy time anymore because they have a little scout.
I wonder if the enemy team can see that patrol.
Well, it says ghost wolf, so I assume not.
Hmm.
And maybe they can't
So,
do anything about it anyways, or whether or not they kill it, people will know that they're at least in that part of the jungle. So it's a good counter jungle tool, or a
well, they
counter
kind
counter
of
jungle.
I kind of look at it and it makes me think a ghost wolf. It wouldn't be attackable, but it would be like spooky ghosts where you just send it off. Instead, it's a wolf that just kind of walks around and gives you a sight of the jungle.
Yeah,
If that's the case, and then I wonder if they can see it or not see it. That'd be interesting.
yeah. So it's something. Um, let's see. Jungle. The A new jungle camp has been added, and that's the one. That's the new jungle minion that drops the stuff in the river that gives you that little scouting buff that we were talking about earlier.
Scuttle crab.
Yeah, it's not hostile. It doesn't fight. It just runs away. But if you slow or root it, it takes more damage. So yeah, that's that new that scuttle crab thing will give you the scout buff.
That's perfect for Teemo, especially.
Let's see. Some item changes. The enhancement captain for boots doesn't affect minions anymore, so it won't give them extra movement speed, which I don't really. It doesn't really matter. I don't think anyone really use captain. Well, very few people ever used a captain enhancement.
I never really did.
I did sometimes, but I didn't really use it for minions. I use it for teammates. Um, all resistance items will have cloth armor and no magic mantle in their starting recipe. So that means cloth armor will turn into chain vest. No magic
Oh
mantle will turn
yeah.
into Negatron cloak, which will then turn into the bigger items.
I actually like that, to be honest.
It lets you build defensively earlier and still be able to build all effective resistance items. Because you know how things like Null Magic Mantle would turn into Maw of Malmortis eventually,
Yeah.
but you wouldn't need Negatron Cloak or anything. But now it will be like Null Magic Mantle, Negatron, and then those things.
Hmm.
Regeneration mechanics are now listed as percent HP and MP per 5. So,
Huh?
okay, so yeah, any things that give you, let's say Warmogs for example. Wait, didn't it already did percent per 5?
Yeah, it did 1%
Okay,
of
so
maximum health.
trying to think of something then. That would be a good example.
Rejuvenation bead.
Yeah, okay, rejuvenation bead. Instead of being like whatever it was, it will actually be like a percentage. So it will take whatever like amount of healing per 5 you have and add a percentage to it. So it's not additive anymore, it's multiplicative.
Okay, it gives you a math equation here. Base regeneration plus regeneration per level that is calculated first times regeneration from items. Huh.
I don't know, it'll make more sense when you actually see it, I guess. Um, Regeneration from items, runes, masteries, skills, etc. will not be taken into account. Whatever. There's a bunch of new items being added. Lots of them are very jungle focused. But anyways, there's Crystalline Bracer, which takes Rejuvenation Bead and Ruby Crystal. I guess it gives you health regen, more health. An item called Righteous Glory that uses Callous Protector and Crystalline Bracer. Gives you more health, more mana, more regen. Gives you passive, the Callous Protector passive, where when you level you get health and mana back over time. Gives you an active, gives you move speed when you're moving towards enemies or enemy turrets. So I guess it's after 2 seconds you emit a shockwave, blah blah blah. So I guess it's a chase tool. There's an item called Raptor Cloak. Raptor Cloak. That's silly. It gives you armor, regen. Gives you a passive. Apparently he spelled Point Runner wrong when he wrote this. It says Peont right now. Anyways, it builds up to 30% movement speed over 2 seconds when near turrets or void gates. What the fuck is a void gate? We'll have to find that out eventually.
Speed over 2 seconds while near turrets or void gates.
What the fuck is a void gate? What?
Builds up to plus 30% move speed over 2 seconds while near turrets or void gates. What the hell is a void gate?
Yeah. Okay, whatever, we'll find out eventually.
Oh yeah, the Raptor Cloak too. It gives you plus 100% base health regen. So whatever you have your champion's base health regen will give it plus 100% to it stacked on top of it to give you your final regen equation.
So if you have
That
3,
is nuts.
so if you have 3, then you'll have 6 instead.
That is pretty damn good actually.
Stalker's Blade. Okay, here's the jungle item changes. So, Hunter's Machete is still the basic jungle item, but now there's different upgrades for it. There's Stalker Blade, which basic attacks do 45 magic damage to monsters over 2 seconds, and holder gains 12 health per second and 4 mana per second. So I guess it's a pretty farmy item. Skirmisher's Saber. Smite can now be used on enemy champions to deal no damage, okay, but it grants vision of them and cause your next 3 basic attacks to deal bonus true damage. So it's like a debuff that makes you do more damage to the enemy when you auto-attack them.
Yeah. Somebody running into the bot lane bushes, for example, that annoying jungler thing where you'd always have to throw down a bloody ward into the bush. If you can catch him fast enough going in between that area, you just fire off smite onto them, and it's like, oh, you now got vision, and then suddenly you're doing a crap load more damage to them.
Yeah. And then it does the same basic attack thing as Stalker's, but I think it's the same for all. Yeah, it's the same for all of them. So the magic damage to monsters thing and the regen thing is basically a static between all Hunter's Machete recipes.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Anyways, the next one is Ranger's Trailblazer. Smite now deals half damage to monsters near the original target and stuns them for 1.5 seconds. Restores 20% of your missing health and mana.
Wow.
So basically, if you smite the big blue buff, it will do damage to the ones on the side as well, and it'll stun them, and it'll give you more health and mana back. so it makes it easier to AoE farm. Poacher's Knife reduces Smite's cooldown by 10 seconds and causes Smite to grant 50 additional gold to if used to kill a monster in the enemy jungle.
Wow.
So that's for counter jungling and
That's
attacking the enemy jungle. You'll be able
that's a new.
Yeah, you'll be able to steal from them better.
That is a new.
Yeah, it's definitely a new item. Now, all jungling items have enhancements like how the boots have had. So, there's Juggernaut, which requires the jungle item, whatever jungle item you end up with, and then Giant's Belt Cloth Armor gives you 500 health and 25 armor and tenacity. So that's like the tank jungler item. There's one called Magus, which is jungle item plus Fiendish Codex, gives you 90 AP, 10% CDR, and 10 magic pen. So that's for, I'd say, champions like Elise, or Evelyn,
Oh yeah.
or Elise, or maybe Elise.
That is very, very, very useful on that.
There's a enchantment called Devourer, which takes the jungle item plus recurve bow. It gives you attack speed, basic attacks deal 40 bonus magic damage. Killing large monsters increases magic damage on hit by 1, while kills or assists increase damage by 2. So this is basically what Feral Flare used to. They're removing Feral Flare, by the way. This is what Feral Flare is now, pretty much. The Devourer enchantment. So it'll give you the bonus magic damage again, but it'll be more. It'll be better for you to actually gank lanes with it than to farm minions. It still works to farm minions, but if you gank lanes, you'll get more of a damage increase on it. So this is basically the Master Yi item, the
Yep.
Deer item,
That's immediately what I thought.
the Warwick item. The next enhancement is Warrior, which is the jungle item plus Vamp Scepter. Gives you 60 attack damage, 10% life steal. So that would be like, I don't know, what jungler really benefits from legitimate attack damage and life steal? I guess that would work on Yi as well. But he is better with attack speed, in my opinion.
Attack damage and life steal?
Yeah.
I think actually Kha'Zix.
Oh yeah, that would work pretty decently on.
Because,
Kha'Zix.
yeah, all of his abilities are attack damage, and that life steal early game would help very much so. Because a lot of people I see anyway tend to build Tiamat and then that tier up from that one. I can't remember what it was.
Hydra.
Yeah, Hydra.
Hey, you could use it on. Yeah, okay, that would work on Lee Sin pretty decently too.
I think about it, yeah.
That would work on Jungle Twitch.
Oh god. Or Jungle Jinx as I pulled off once.
Oh god. Alright, so there's some changes to old items as well. Wrecker, which is an item nobody used. It now uses Raptor Cloak and Kendall Gem. It gives you 300 health, 50 armor, base health regen, CDR. Active can now increase allied tower damage by 100%, so it's an anti-siege tool. And a siege tool, because I know Wrecker's active can also disable towers.
That's actually, that kind of reminds me of, what the hell was that? It's that buff that you could fire onto your captured towers.
Fortify.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, it's basically that, but in Dominion.
Oh,
I can't remember what the hell it was called. I think it's still Fortify.
well,
But
Fortify.
yeah, it essentially does that.
Well, the summoner buff Fortify, the summoner spell Fortify, which used to exist, would give invulnerability to allied turrets and cause them to attack 100% faster for 7 seconds.
All allied turrets. That was ridiculous.
That was pretty fun to use.
Troll.
The Dominion one you're thinking of is Garrison.
Yeah, that's it.
So it depends on what you use it for. If you use it for the enemy capture point, it would reduce the damage, I think. Alright, so yeah, the Garrison spell did on an enemy capture point damage reduction, and allied it did attack speed increase.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of the same, the Wrecker change, but it all has to do with well, enemy disables the turret completely, and allied it increases tower damage. Anyways, the next item is Warmog's armor, which now uses Crystalline Bracer and Crystalline Bracer. Okay, I guess it uses two Crystalline Bracers. And Giant Spell, and reduce the health max has been reduced to 800 from 1000. Regen triples when out of combat. So I feel like Warmog is going to be a Garen type thing. Because Garen also regens higher when out of combat. And champions that roam around a lot will benefit from it, I guess.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, the changes don't seem like it's going to be that great of an item. Whatever. Oh, Hunter's Machete. The jungle item, it actually requires you to have Smite to use it. So you can't just be like, support Blitzcrank. Oh, I guess support Blitzcrank could use Hunter's Machete if you wanted, if he was using Smite. I don't know, it's kind of weird. I guess it stops you from accidentally buying Hunter's Machete if you're not a jungler. That's the idea of it. And then they removed a whole bunch of items, so Atma's Impaler is gone, which is the one that increases your damage with your max health and
also gives you armor
and crit chance. Like the elixirs are gone. Executioner's Calling is gone. I know how much Sven hates that.
Damn it. I like that item. It's useful against assholes that decide to regen the shit out of your attacks.
Yeah, can't stop Mundo now. Feral Flare is being removed, but there's a jungle setup that's pretty similar. Ginso's Rage Blade is being removed because it's useless. Nobody used it anyways.
Yeah.
Do you remember what that item did?
Yep.
Yeah.
Auto attacks increase your attack speed.
Yeah, and also
gradually.
Increase your,
it's like Jax's passive.
Yeah, it also increased how much AP you did.
Yeah.
The old jungle items like Spirit of Ancient Golem, Elder Lizard, and Spectral Wraith are being removed. Spirit Stone's getting removed. Quill Coat's getting removed, which is funny because it was added not too long ago.
Derp.
Regal's Lantern is getting removed since Feral Flare is getting removed too. Madred's is getting removed. Sword of Divine is getting removed.
It's rather interesting on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. That one wasn't. I don't really have an opinion on that one.
I never really had much of a use for it, to be honest.
Nah.
So far, that seems to be it as far as the logs here go. What we're reading it from is going to be updated as much as the user can, anyway.
Yeah. I hope you're saving the links to all the stuff we've been talking about.
This one I am definitely saving.
Yeah. Anyways. So yeah, that's just a small list of Season 5 changes. I'll go off on a tangent now and we'll talk about IEM San Jose, because I'm kind of interested in what's going on with it. So, IEM is this, like, I think it's like a quarterly tournament or something. I don't think it's yearly, I think it's like quarterly or every half year or whatever. But there's a little League of Legends tournament going on during it. And it took like the first place teams from NA and EU to go there. Like they're for sure going. So that's TSM and Alliance, respectively. And there's a fan vote thing for the teams too. So IEM San Jose has like EG, Team 8, Cloud9, Curse, Dignitas, and CLG you can vote for. EU has Super Hot Crew, SK Gaming, Unicorns of Love, and Copenhagen Wolves. It doesn't have a few other teams since they wouldn't be able to even get into the country properly with their like visas and stuff. So like Gambit can't. Oh, I'm not sure Gambit's back in even, but oh I see. Fnatic won't be participating because they're already participating in IEM Cologne, which is the one in Germany. So anyways, yeah. Right now, the teams that are heading in the votes is Cloud9 for NA and Unicorns of Love for EU. And you can vote on this site, and Sven save the link for the description.
Okay.
So yeah, if you go there, you can click on community, like the one that says the button that says Next San Jose, and then the one that says Community Vote, and you can vote for the teams you want to go. Apparently, there's only 3 days, 9 hours, 56 minutes, and 35 seconds from this very moment that I'm talking to vote. So I'm sure by the time the episode's out, there's only be like a day left.
Yeah.
And then you can vote for whatever team. You have to sign up on the website and all that. I personally voted for Curse and SK Gaming, and in my opinion, you should also vote for Curse and SK Gaming, everybody, because I said so.
Okay then.
Why? Who else should they vote for? Huh?
I don't know.
Exactly. But yeah, so there's IM San Jose. Looks to be pretty interesting. Hopefully it'll be an entertaining thing for everyone. But moving on from that, we have our meta topic. So our next topic is champion synergy in the meta. So champion synergy basically entails how champions work together. So for example, you got like AoE comps where you have champions like Amumu or Nunu, Orianna, and you just like put them all together on a team. You got champions that just kind of work together in a more general sense, like knockups for like say you have Janna or Alistar. You can use them along with Yasuo to proc his ult. And yeah, like the way you have champion, like the way you pick champions, you can set up certain kind of team strategies that will make the game progress a certain way for you. What do you think of team comps?
I think they're a beast that most people don't quite understand, especially in solo queue, because team comps they're definitely a make or break in any situation. If you have a good team comp, a real solid one, then it's like fuck, you're definitely what the hell? You're definitely showing the nerve to be able to stand up against the enemy team and to be able to win too. But there's a lot of team comps also that require a certain thing to it. Like you for example, like as Nova said for Yasuo, for example. If you have an entire team comprised of just absolutely nothing but knockups, you gotta understand what champions you're selecting. Just like if you have a team comprised of just shots, like long-range shots like an Ashe or an Ezreal ult or stuff like that, trying to get as many of those in, you gotta understand what else you're going to insert into that in order to maintain any sort of consistency. Because if you have just willy-nilly ass random champions just thrown all together, you're gonna have a real bad time.
Yeah, it also doesn't always work out the way you want it to. Even if you have like a team comp set up, it depends on the people playing it too, for it to actually work properly.
Oh yeah.
Like, I mean, you could set up like the ultimate siege comp, but if people aren't playing right, then it doesn't mean anything. Have someone pick Xerath and not know how to use them, and you only picks them because it's part of a siege comp, then it's just not the same.
Yeah, that I always find funny. Picking champions part of a comp that they don't understand, or just picking champions they don't understand in general. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, it's the same for people that counter pick too. They'll just pick champions they don't understand because they think they'll be the ones that win with them. Like, oh, I picked this champion because I can do this and this. But if I'm not physically capable of doing this and this, then what's the point?
Yeah, which is where a lot of finesse comes from. If you end up having a team that's very competent in the champions you select for the team comp, which is basically a big friggin' roll of the dice, you'll end up having a really damn good time with them, considering it's just team comp and strategy that all just manage to fold together, which in the end makes it very, very beneficial for you. But
Yep.
yeah, definitely got to be careful and watch what you're doing with it.
And well, there's a lot of like little team comp types. Like there's AoE comps, which, like I said, involves like champions with huge AoE spells that they can mesh together. There's CC comps, which have like different types of crowd controls they can chain together to keep a champion held down. They have pit comps, so a lot of champions that can just nab someone and kill them before anyone's even able to respond.
Yeah.
There's siege comps, which involve a bunch of long-range champions that can basically poke from afar and take down turrets with little resistance. And most of the team comps always have like a comp that deals with them in a certain manner. Like AoE comps are really good against siege comps because you can just like throw everything at them and take the majority of them down.
So it's clearing out waves and shit like that, which is what they tend to be reliant on.
Yeah.
So you get that tower aggro on them, then you can continue slamming them down with AoE stuff, and you start twiddling down the enemy team as a whole rather than just individual.
You just kind of have to figure out what champions you can use and what situation they fit in. And you don't always have to build a team comp. You can always build a champion that synergizes with maybe one or two other champions on the team or whatever works.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's really, there's not really much to say about it. It's pretty much dependent on the players themselves to figure out what works for them.
Yeah, there's different little sets you can do. Like when it comes into what you're thinking comes to mind, you start picking whatever champions you want for that set. But it's like you need to understand what you're going for in the first place. Because if you don't, well, you start picking random stuff that just doesn't work entirely. Then there's champions that'll aid the team, champions that are purely assault, champions that are evenly balanced, champions that are compositions rather on all of those aspects. Compositions that are purely defensive, that take advantage of, like, say, that knock up. So it's like Alistair and then Blitz and then Yasuo, Lee Sin, something like that. Just kind of chunky champions that'll help fill in some of the gaps. Like, you don't want a crap load of knock-up champions that are not really capable of holding their own, because if they jump in there, then all of a sudden they're just gone. So it's as I said earlier, you can't really just hop in there and expect something to happen. You actually have to figure out what you're setting up and how you're going to set it up.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think there's really much else to say regarding that.
Nope.
Once again, the topics for this week were in mechanics, map awareness. So basically, you need to be able to perceive the map and what's going on, because it will help you in the long run. Behavior, smart pings. They are called smart pings, so you have to use them intelligently, not like a moron.
Please.
And community, LCS roster changes. That's more of it's an ongoing thing. It's not even fully complete yet. So, I don't know, there's still a lot to look forward to regarding that. And there'll be a lot of interesting changes before next season starts. And speaking of next season, the game itself, we gave a little bit of important info regarding Season 5 changes, regarding like towers, items, buffs, and some of them might still be experimental, and there might be more coming. So, gotta keep your eyes peeled for that. And then the last thing was team comps, and that was the meta topic. And it's basically how you fit champions together into a winning setup, I guess. And so yeah, that was episode 5 of the Armchair League. And once again, I'm your host, Novasight, and the other guy is Aspari-One, who's getting his ass pounded by a tank.
Yep, I just got shelled. But as Nova said, I'm Aspari-One.
Thanks for listening.
See you later.